I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports. They tell quarterbacks, take what they give you. That all sounds good to everybody, but I always went the other way. We're going to take what we want.
He believes that his organization is better than any other. He believes his players are better. He believes his coaches are better. He believes the wives are better.
Somebody like Julius Caesar, a guy whose motto was, I came, I saw, I conquered. If it wasn't pride and poise and pro football's dynamic organization and just win, baby, and will to win, that would be a heck of a motto. I came, I saw, I conquered.
Hi, I'm Steve Sable. If we look back on pro football's last 3 decades, the San Francisco 49ers will be known as the team of the 80s. The Pittsburgh Steelers were certainly the team of the 70s, and the 60s, well, they belong to the Green Bay Packers. But in pro football's modern era, only one franchise deserves the honor of being called the team of all decades, the Raiders. And their innovative, aggressive style has carried them to the Super Bowl in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Since the 60s, in fact, the Raiders have become the winningest team in professional sports, and no other team in pro football can claim such an achievement. But then, the Raiders' history is rich in firsts, onlys, and unparalleled accomplishments. The Raiders' unique tradition has been built by a rare breed of men. Some of the game's most colorful personalities have worn the silver and black.
For 4 decades, the Raiders have maintained an unparalleled level of excellence as professional sports' winningest team. A large measure of that success stems from their unique understanding that football is, above all, a people game.
I always thought that great football players are artistic, and you don't put the wraps on it. You got to let them go a little. You got to give them some rope. And I only had 3 rules. 1 was be on time, 2 was pay attention, and 3 was play like hell when I tell you to.
Raider football. It was a team concept characterized by rugged individualism. It was an us-against-them philosophy that was clearly anti-establishment. Under their flag of piracy, the Raiders gathered together an eclectic group of homegrown heroes and talented refugees from around the league. This latter group included John Matuszak, Lyle Alzado, and Ted Hendricks. Unique personalities, both on and off the field.
I'll never forget against St. Louis that we were playing them, and we came over to the stadium. We walked from a hotel. We had suits and ties, and all of us, we looked like a Boy Scout troop. And as we were walking up to the stadium, the Raider bus pulled up. These guys fell off of that bus with leather coats, dark glasses, chains on. They looked like some people right out from Rahway State Prison. And I think our team seeing them get off the bus set the tone for the game. We got killed that evening.
We'd go into cities, and actually these teams would be beat long before we got there. They would absolutely fumble. They would let us make interceptions. Quarterbacks used to throw me the ball. I swear to God, and it was in their mind, let's just get rid of this thing. Give it to the Raiders. Get me off the field.
When we would go on the road, we were the most booed team ever. But people reacted to the Raiders. I mean, it was kind of like Muhammad Ali. You know, Ali was great because people wanted to watch him. You know, I mean, and they either loved him or they didn't like him, and they wanted to see him win or they wanted to see him lose, but whatever, they wanted to see him.
Let's keep dominating this team. Let's keep dominating.
Like Muhammad Ali, the Raiders talked a big game, but backed it with bold action. And like Ali, they were winners and champions in different eras, different decades. The 1980 Raiders best personified the franchise's championship character. It was a team led by Jim Plunkett, the free agent quarterback who was cast adrift by the NFL establishment before discovering the joys of being a Raider.
I think one of the things that helped rebuild Plunkett's psyche, we could have signed him for a lot less than we did. No club in the league had claimed him. But Al said, you're a quality quarterback, quality player, and at some point down the road, you're going to win big games for us. You should be paid accordingly.
Plunkett guided the Raiders to a wild card berth. In the playoffs, they won 3 straight games and arrived at Super Bowl 15 in New Orleans as a loose and confident underdog.
Super Sunday, what a day. That's like a dream come true. It's unbelievable. Yes, we're going to win. We are going to win, no question.
The uptight Eagles never had a chance, as Jim Plunkett's MVP performance and clutch play by wide receiver Cliff Branch spurred the Raiders on to the most emotional of their 3 NFL championships.
Touchdown Raiders! Holy Toledo!
This was our finest hour. This was the finest hour in the history of the Oakland Raiders. To Tom Flores, the coaches, and the great athletes, you were magnificent out there today. You really are. Take pride and be proud. Your commitment to excellence and your will to win will endure forever. You were magnificent.
Ralph Waldo Emerson once said that every institution is the lengthened shadow of one man. Well, when the Raiders stand in the sun, you can see the silhouette of Al Davis on the field. In 1963, the 33-year-old Davis engineered the single greatest turnaround in NFL history when he led the Raiders, a team that had been 1-13 the previous year, to a 10-4 record. Now, during his remarkable career, Davis, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, has served as a scout, coach, commissioner, and owner. He's a natural leader who pursued and achieved his dream, a dream that, oddly enough, was inspired by 2 baseball teams.
I had the inspiration of 2 great organizations when I was growing up, the New York Yankees at that time and the Brooklyn Dodgers. We had come from Massachusetts when I was very young to Brooklyn, where I was brought up, and the Yankees to me personified the size of the players, power, the home run, and intimidation and fear. They were very important characteristics to me of what I thought a great organization and a great team should have. The Dodgers were totally different in my mind. They represented speed and the ability to take chances and pioneer in professional sports. And I always thought that someone intelligent could take all the qualities, the great qualities of both, and put them together and use them. I had certain philosophies of my own, and that was, number 1, what I call the vertical game. We were going to stretch the field vertically. When we came out of the huddle, we weren't looking for first downs. We didn't want to move the chains. We wanted touchdowns. We wanted the big play, the quick strike. And it's number 1 to say you want to do that. It's number 2 to say that you have the players to do it, but it's number 3 to do it. To do it on first down of any football game for that defense that you're playing against. For those cornerbacks who play out there on the corners, to know that the Raiders are coming at you. They're coming at you on top, and they've got the speed to do it, and they will do it. That was Raider football. Well, the defensive theory evolved early on in the 60s to, number 1, pressure, put pressure on the pocket, put pressure on the quarterback, diversification of defense, and the utilization of your corners in a bump and run principle. And the idea is to disrupt the offense, disrupt the flow of the offense, disrupt the continuity.
Al's philosophy and the Raiders' philosophy on defense is never to catch, never to read, it's to attack. That's the way we played football. We never let anybody take it to us. We take it to them. We had terrible stats. We had more penalties, but we won.
Al is not only an owner, but he's an owner that knows football, and I think the players respect that in him.
He was always there for the contact practices. Anything that we had our pads on, Al Davis was there, and you never knew where he was. You would see him by the goalpost 1 second, and then the next second you look back to see if you saw a great play you made, and he wasn't there. He was right next to you. And when Al Davis spoke, people listened. Well, see, people understand that he knows the game of football, and he has, at one time in his career, coached the offensive line, so he knows all these things. Every aspect of the game of football, as far as technique is concerned, the man studied it and he knows it.
He's always there when the team comes out and to cheer him and give him a clap or two. And then he's always also there to watch the other team warm up and maybe give them a word or two of encouragement to try to psych them in some way. I mean, this is something that he's been doing for years.
Well, he knows that everybody wants to be on the Raiders. So what he does is he goes over to the other team and he gets their stars. And he just says, hey, how you doing, you know? And he talks to them so nice. And he might even ask them what they're getting paid, you know, just to get them thinking, hey, I'll do better for them. He would always be looking to give us the edge. And then his look and the way he would shake when he looked at you, win, baby. You know, and he'd come after you with them eyes and that face. Man, that used to turn me on, you know, and I loved it.
The workings of an athlete is a lot different from the workings of a civilian. They think different. They react differently. And Al Davis, fortunately, knows the workings of those athletes, and that's why the players that play for him love him.
I remember when his wife was sick, and he would kill me for saying this. But there are two things that are very important to him, and that's his football team and his wife and his family. That was the first time in 16 years I've ever seen him away from the team. His wife lay in the hospital in a coma. He went there, he found the best doctors. He did not move from the bedside until she regained consciousness.
I can remember games on in her room while she was in a coma. The game was on and they would be talking about her. And I would try to talk to her and tell her, baby, they're talking about you now, you gotta get up. And every night would spend hours with her, talking to her with the hope that maybe I could do something, with the idea that you'll leave no stone unturned.
And the first neurologist, who was an excellent neurologist, had said to Al that it does look rather hopeless, rather grim.
I could not leave her lying there and accept that. I just couldn't believe it, as little I knew about medicine. So I was determined to try and dominate that situation, at least from the management of it, procuring all the information I could from all over the world. And of course, I have more means than other people, so I can do these things.
He was determined that his wife was going to get through this terrible episode in her life. He had totally willed it. And I think his will carried over into her in some way.
Thank God, after about 14 days, she awakened. She needed therapy work, she needed memory work, but thank God today she's perfect.
I don't think he's ever thought it was a miracle. I just think that he feels that you take a situation and you, as he puts it, dominate it. You take it over and you make it happen. You will it to happen.
If I had to describe Al Davis in a way that would please him 50 years from now, if he were looking down and wanted to be remembered in a way that would be meaningful to him, it would be that he dominated his life in all the phases of his life, that he dominated.
Al Davis has created the most dynamic organization in sports. If you use winning percentage as a standard of measurement, then over the past 30 years, the Raiders are the most dominant team in pro sports. They've made the playoffs 17 times, captured 14 division titles, and 3 times they've been crowned the world champions of pro football. But while the Raiders' place in the record books is already assured, you know, there's it's sort of a storybook quality to their glorious tradition. The Raiders have been involved in some of the most thrilling and unforgettable moments in NFL history.
In 1989, football's most dynamic organization made history in the hiring of new head coach Art Shell.
It'll be a 26-yard try. Right hash, spot, kick, on the way. Good! Raiders win in overtime!
This great Raider Hall of Famer has eagerly taken on the challenge of continuing the Raider glory that he was so much a part of.
That's super. He talks a lot about the Raider tradition, about the Raider past, and he brought in a lot of examples of what he was talking about, some stories he told. And, you know, with that in mind and with the idea that, you know, if you really believe that you're going to win, you will win, he just basically has gotten the guys to start to believe that.
The will to win. It has been the motivating factor behind some of the most improbable, implausible, impossible finishes. Landa's miracle kicks of 1970.
Here it is, snap, spotted, it's kicked. That's got a chance. That is good. It's good. Holy Toledo! Oakland trails 20-14. 10 seconds left. Robisky and Banaszak are the backs. Slot right, Branch inside. Bradshaw, Stabler back. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can't. The ball flipped forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is ruled a fumble. Casper has recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
He is fading, looking. He's under the gun. Side, he throws. It is.
The Raiders' victory in Super Bowl XI was, like that championship season, a study in power and precision, flawlessly executed by the likes of Hall of Famers Fred Biletnikoff and Willie Brown. Even more dominating was Super Bowl XVIII, where the power and artistry of Marcus Allen propelled the Raiders to their first NFL title since moving to Los Angeles.
And he gets away for a moment, comes back up to the middle of 30, 25, 40, breaks past 2 men at the 50, down to the 40, picking up a blocker, to the 20, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown Raiders! Holy Toledo!
Not only, in my opinion, are you the greatest Raider team of all time, I think you're ranked with the great teams of all time that have ever played any professional sport.
The Raiders. Pride and poise. Decades of destiny. Competitors for years. Champions forever. Raiders for life.
The Raiders is always, to me, it's like a family. I love every guy I ever played with. And playing for Mr. Davis is heaven.
I'm 40 years old, and I would come back in a second if he asked me to come back and help. In a second. And I think most of the other guys would, too.
And when I go back to Raider camp, you know, the juices start flowing. The blood turned warm, and the pride and the poise and the silver and black, it's there.
I don't know what the Packers had. I don't know what any other team had, but the Raiders got it, and I think we'll always have it. And it goes right back to when Art got the job. I mean, Art told me everybody called him. Everybody, guys he never played with, called him to say congratulations, let's get it back. And that's a family, and that's what we got with the Raiders.
The fire that burned brightest in me and the fire that burns brightest in this organization is the will to win. I think the will to win is more important than any single event. And I strongly believe that in the decade ahead, the 90s, the greatness of the Raiders will continue, and that decade will belong to us.